is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Florida.
It's amazing what winning can do for you. For the red-hot Marlins, they've won 6 straights. More wins, more smiles, more fun. Tonight, the Fish go for 7 in a row and let it fly in Milwaukee. Still chilly in Milwaukee, but the roof is shut, Miller Park ready to go, and so are the Marlins, who have arrived at 500 after a torrid week. Wei-Yin Chen getting set to go, trying to get his second win as a Fish. Giancarlo Stanton back in the lineup. He got to watch last night's win. Of course, he's homered 4 times on this road trip, and of course, Justin Bour's bat ruled the day offensively for the Fish last night. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Eduardo Perez. What a win streak and what a night last night. Adam Conley flirts with a no-hitter. Justin Bour hits 2 out, drives in 5. This thing is rolling right now.
It is, and early is what I really liked yesterday. You're talking about the first inning, Justin Bour being able to hit that home run, put the Marlins up front, and then Adam Conley doing the rest. It was very powerful. It was exactly what Don Mattingly needed after a long road trip.
And this win streak for the Marlins encompasses everything. And let's start with starting pitching. Adam Conley last night, but all the starters have had a good turn through.
They have, and the more you see them, the more they're getting used to throwing that fastball hard in. They're really establishing it. And Adam Conley yesterday, speaking to the Milwaukee Brewer hitters, was really comfortable. And then you look at the offense of the Marlins, they've shown a lot of power going all over. Opposite field home runs. You throw them a changeup, guess what? We'll stay back and we'll get the bat head out front and hit it out like we saw yesterday with Justin Bour. There's so many positives. The most important thing is in front of those home runs, you get a lot of base runners. And then you're talking about the bullpen. Well, the reason the bullpen's been so good is because the starting pitching has been dominant. They've been getting into situations where they've been able to succeed late in the game. Instead of coming in that 5th inning, they're coming in the 7th, and that's a good news for Don Mattingly.
A.J. Ramos got the save last night. He has saved 5 of the 6 wins. Now for the Fish on the mound tonight, Wei-Yin Chen gets the start. Chen is a steady guy. He was that way with the Baltimore Orioles, and you could see him start after start, 6, 7 innings as he goes.
Well, speaking with the Milwaukee Brewers again, one thing they said is, well, he's going to throw a lot of strikes. So we know that. So look for the Brewers to be aggressive, but watch how Chen makes his adjustment from inning to inning. Just because he knows that this is a veteran guy that understands how to pitch, and he'll give you different looks. He'll throw strikes, but with different pitches, and that's how you keep a team off balance.
Last night's lefty was pretty darn good. Tonight's lefty is Wei-Yin Chen. The lineup. A lot of questions for Don Mattingly about last night and tonight. He'll answer those as the Marlins and the Brewers are moments away. Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, with no D. Gordon, Don Mattingly is continuing to try and figure out what his everyday lineup is going to look like. Last night, we saw Ichiro in the leadoff spot. Tonight, Derek Dietrich will be in the leadoff spot. Also, Giancarlo Stanton, JT Realmuto, and Adeiny Echeverria will return to the lineup after having yesterday off. Here is Don Mattingly on continuing to make adjustments when it comes to his lineup.
Yesterday was day one. It was pretty easy with each up front. But when each is not in there, we just see what it looks like. And it'll definitely be different, but it's just a different dynamic. You know, Deep gives you that power dynamic, a little bit more of a seized pitches on base dynamic. So, you know, and not really a speed dynamic up there as far as stealing bags, but well, it's definitely going to be different. It's really just the combination of guys. It's not really a big change. It's just obviously this is maybe more of a steadier look against the right-hander with Dietz playing second.
And the good news for Mattingly, from the top of the lineup to the bottom, he is getting all sorts of contributions, whether it's a guy like Justin Bour that we saw hot last night, whether it's a guy like JT Realmuto or Giancarlo Stanton, this team is getting it done as a unit. Coming up next, the Fish are going for lucky number 7. They have won 6 straight games in a row. It is the first time that they have done that since July 2014. First pitch is coming up next.
Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Bank United. Switch to Bank United today. Visit us at bankunited.com or call 877-779-2265. By your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Well, it was chilly here yesterday, cold here. You see the rain has started outside. The roof is shut tight. Don Mattingly, Christian Yelich. There's a pair of left-handed swingers with sweet swings. Marlins lineup brought to you by You Health Sports Medicine.
Well, we talked about Derek Dietrich being at the top of the lineup. Get used to it, folks, with Martin Prado, the hot Martin Prado in the 2-hole. Christian Yelich in the 3 spot. Giancarlo Stanton, welcome back after a day off with Justin Bour at first base after 2 home runs. Marcell Ozuna in center field. JT Realmuto catching. Adeiny Echeverria in the 8th spot, playing in the 6th spot, and then Wei Jin Chen on the mound.
And for the Brewers, Chase Anderson, the 28-year-old out of Ryder, Texas, former Sooner at the University of Oklahoma. 4 starts. His first 2 were very good. He did not give up a run. His next 2, a combined 10 runs against the Twins and the Phillies. He always writes his father's initials on the mound just before he pitches. His father passed away in 2012. In fact, he wears his dad's boots, jeans, shirt, and socks to the ballpark every time he starts a ball game.
Take it they were the same size.
Yeah, so always special to him. First pitch hitting. Derek Dietrich, deep, gone, upper tank. Welcome to the leadoff spot.
Well, I wonder who had him as a pick to click, but oh my, the Marlins are clicking right now. First pitch, you see it, we hit it, and that's exactly what Derek Dietrich did. And rounding first base, he's looking into the dugout saying, boys, I like this spot.
Well, that's certainly a different dynamic from the leadoff spot. Let it fly just like that. And Dietrich goes deep, his second of the season. And here is Martin Prado. What a start to this one. And Prado takes a fastball for a strike. Here's a look.
No, he got it middle in right there. Did not miss it. You saw as soon as he hit it, had that little crow hop in him.
Prado lifts it down the right field line, and that's foul and into the seats.
That little skip. As soon as he did that, you know. This will be back in the day. Reggie Sanders used to do that all the time after he hit it hard for the Cincinnati Reds and then Diamondbacks.
Prado pulls it foul. Prado's been red hot. Martin 10 for 17 on this trip. He is currently second in the National League in hitting. Oh, 2 is strike 3 called. Adam Hamari, the home plate umpire. And Chase Anderson has his first out. Milwaukee defensively, a lot of new names here in Milwaukee. Southwest Airlines brings it to you. Braun, Flores, and Santana, the outfield. Colin Walsh, Chris Carter on the corners. Aaron Hill, Jonathan Villar up the middle, and Jonathan Lucroy is behind the plate handling Chase Anderson. 43 degrees outside, 64 degrees inside. Yelich pulls a ground ball that Hill cuts off. And there are 2 outs. And here comes Giancarlo Stanton. And for Stanton, this is significant, this at bat. This is the first time that Stanton has been back in Milwaukee since that horrendous beating when he was hit in the face. Obviously, you see the guard. He wears that against right-handed pitchers. He started that last year. He does not wear it against lefties. But Stanton digs in. He's been hot as well. Homers in 4 of his last 5 games. And he takes a fastball out. It's 1-0. And the homers have been going in all directions. Right center, center, left. Anderson misses in. 2-0. It was one of those nights where, as Stanton left the field, you really feared for his not only safety, his health, his career. He's made a remarkable comeback from that. Last year, it did not affect him. In fact, last year, Stanton put up enormous numbers until his season was cut short by the hamate bone injury. He was homering every 10 at-bats, which would have had him finish over 50 in a normal season. And that pitch is low and inside. He's walked. And that's a good sign, Eduardo. He's, along with the home runs and the line drives, the walks have started to come back as well.
And that's a beautiful sign, seeing that he's not chasing anymore. And I really like Don Mattingly. No one on, 2 outs. Hey, big man, let it rip. 3-0. Fouled it off, and then right there went with the changeup, and he was able to take it.
Now the big man on campus last night was Justin Bour. And a fastball backs him off the plate. And we'll see how the Brewers approach him tonight.
Well, I think that first pitch just tells you how they should and they want to approach him. Not trying to get his hands extended, throwing hard in, then going soft away.
There's the shift against him. 90-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. Bour's 2 homers. One was a mammoth shot that banged off of the second deck right behind the Brewers bullpen. That was the 3-run shot. That was early. He added a high roof scraper in the 6th inning. And of course he had an RBI double which he banged off the wall in left center field. One and two. We'll see where Lucroy sets. A rising fastball, and he takes it in.
And that's exactly where Lucroy wanted it with the signs. He made sure you have to elevate this fastball. Wanted to see if Justin would chase. Now he's got some decisions to make. Does he go back in with the fastball or soft away? No runner on second, so it should be a simple sign. Wants the fastball in.
2-2. And Bour flips it foul and out of play. We've seen some catchers, and catchers do this, against Bour or another hitter when they want the ball up actually above the letters, will literally come out of their crouch and reach up. Lucroy doesn't seem to be doing that.
And I think it's about the pitcher. If you really want to emphasize you have to be able to throw it up, you throw it up. Right there, the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle means change up.
He sets up out. And the change ends up out. It's a good take by Bour, and it's 3-2. Lucroy, a veteran catcher. Orders a fastball. Stanton will be on the move on a 3-2 with 2 outs. And Bour pops that one up back behind the plate. If you've just tuned in, you've already missed the first Miami home run. Derek Dietrich in the leadoff spot. Remember last night with Stanton out of the lineup, Ichiro led off, a spot where Ichiro is very familiar with. For Dietrich, though, this is all new stuff. And he blasted one up into the second deck on the very first pitch of the ball game. Stanton on the move again. 3-2 coming. And a good at bat here by Justin Bour.
Well, the good news is Giancarlo is going to be loose when he gets to right field, or if he has to go and make 3 turns all the way to home. If Justin hits one in the gap.
Saturday night crowd still arriving here in Milwaukee. Looks like a bigger group than last night. Always a good weekend house at Miller Park.
Wants to go curveball or slider right here, a pitch that he has yet to throw to Bour.
Into right field. That's a hit. Stanton will stop at second and just get back in behind the throw from Santana. Bour hits it so hard it goes right through the shift.
And that would have been really interesting. You see the top, you see how the defense is set up, base hit to right field. Jonathan Villar was also hustling to get to third base to cover and be there. Giancarlo would have kept going. That would have been really interesting on how Villar would have been able to handle the throw from Santana. Something that a lot of defenses aren't used to doing, especially with the shift in hand.
So Miami now has a pair of runners on. And now Marcell Moneyball Ozuna comes to the plate. All of a sudden, he's a walking machine. He's walked 6 times on this road trip. Pitch misses out.
Seems like a little cutter out away. And interesting, going back to Bour's base hit. If the infield's playing regular position, maybe a little bit to the left, that's a ground ball to the second baseman. Instead, because of the shift, the inning continues.
Great line from Don Mattingly about Marcell Ozuna and his approach at the plate.
Oh yeah, if you take your walks, eventually the pitchers will start throwing strikes to you. So you have to be selective at the plate and then have them come to you. And continuing on that conversation, with a runner in scoring position, he's shown a lot more patience today. Yesterday, as soon as there was runners at first and second, he swung at the first pitch.
Yeah, look at that turnaround for Ozuna. 1 walk, his first 64 plate appearances. 2-1. And he fouls it back.
And I think a lot of it has to do with Barry Bonds also telling guys, listen, take your walk, take your walk. And he's been every game letting them know that's the way to get runners on base, the way to put pressure on the pitcher. It's not only by swinging the bat, but being selective and then getting an opportunity to swing it with the good stuff.
Stanton second, Boers at first, 2-2. And Ozuna fouls it back. And once again, the Marlins, as they did last night early, have pushed the Brewers starter pitch count up into the mid-20s. A Dietrich homer, a walk to Stanton, a single by Boer. And a 2-2. It's out.
It's a really good take. Martin Prado tried to take one a little bit more in than that one. And it was called by Adam Hamari.
You could see Jonathan Lucroy try to snap the glove back, try to frame that pitch and grab it on the outside corner. All right, counts full with 2 outs. Runners on the move. And a pitch down low to Ozuna, who takes another walk and loads the bases. Yeah, Don Mattingly told us, he told Ozuna, you know what, if you take your walks, you'll be an all-star.
And that's exactly what's going on. And I saw the reaction. I looked in the dugout from here, and they all started clapping, even if it just seemed like it was a line drive base hit up the middle. I mean, that is progress right there. A 7-pitch at-bat, making the pitcher throw strikes. That's a selective, close pitch to take.
And as you pointed out, runners in scoring position, when hitters will get that itchy trigger finger and really sometimes chase. Now JT Real Muto, bags loaded. Real Muto's hot as well. He had last night off. Anderson.
It's like a little cutter he throws over. It's that 88-mile-per-hour pitch. Fastball throws it around 90-91.
29th pitch of the inning coming up. Real Muto 10 for his last 19 with 2 homers. And Anderson misses away. Last night, Miami put 3 on the board early against Zach Davies. It was Boer who hit a 3-run homer. Bases filled with Fish here. That's 1-2.
Making them work, and that's one thing that the starting staff for the Brewers has struggled with, is that first inning, trying to get out of it and unscathed, and it's been really difficult for them all season long. Only Colorado has a higher ERA.
Let's see what Real Muto gets. 1-2. Hooks it to the third baseman. Colin Walsh to the bag. And the inning is over. Miami strands 3 but gets 1. First pitch of the ball game, Derek Dietrich. And it's 1-0. Dietrich with that tattoo on his hand from his grandfather. Let it fly, his grandfather used to tell him. And boy, did he let it fly. Pick to click. I had Dietrich. Eduardo, I think Yelich will have a nice night. Jessica's got Giancarlo. And the crack staff riding the hot bat of Justin Bour picked up a point on that single. Remember, no money will change hands at the end of the show. U-Health brings you the Brewers order.
Well, Domingo Santana playing right field, leading off. Jonathan Villar at shortstop in the 2-hole. Ryan Braun, the home run all-time leader for the Brewers, in the 3rd spot. Jonathan Lucroy catching, hitting cleanup. Chris Carter in the 5-hole, playing first base. Colin Walsh at 3rd. Aaron Hill at 3rd base, and Ramon Flores in center field.
Wei-Yin Chen, start number 5. Chen in his first season in the National League. 4 years with Baltimore. Had a really nice run, 46-32, an ERA of 3.72, and you see his last time out. Beat the Dodgers, gave up 2 runs. Start before that, he gave up 3 runs in 7 innings against the Nationals.
And right away, you saw a little frustration there on that 2-0 pitch by Chen. Fastball away. A little upset that he was not able to follow through with it.
Domingo Santana for the Brewers. And Santana takes a strike. Jonathan Villar, Ryan Braun. The Brewers in the middle of a rebuild. Sent a lot of their talent to different ball clubs last July and in the offseason as well. A few familiar names remain. Braun, of course. Jonathan Lucroy. Scooter Gennett is on the disabled list. That one is cranked left field deep. That's a rocket, and that's off the very top of the wall. Ozuna picks it up. And a double for Santana. And the Marlins are fortunate that that didn't end up in the bullpen.
Well, he barreled it, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do at 3-2. You know you're going to get a fastball. He got one down in the zone, and this was clotheslined right off the fence. And a great job by Ozuna getting it back, but Derek Dietrich wasn't on the base as he was backpedaling to try to get there.
And so the Brewers have their leadoff man in scoring position. Now Chen faces the switch hitting shortstop Jonathan Villar. Villar last night was 0 for 4. And of course he had a lot of company on a near no-hitter.
Watch out for the bunt right here from Villar. Loves to bunt.
Chen having trouble finding the strike zone.
Yeah, he has to be able to get ahead in order to keep these hitters off balance. But coaching Villar with the Astros a few years ago, every time there was a runner at second base, really loved to show bunt. Try to push it towards the second baseman. See how Derek Dietrich right there is taking a couple steps in.
There is the bunt. Chen gets the out. And the Brewers are 90 feet away from tying this game. It's a sacrifice, and that gives Ryan Braun an opportunity to get in on the act. Miami defensively, they've been a solid club this year with the glove. Southwest Airlines brings it to you. Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton in the outfield. Martin Prado, Justin Bour in the corners. Derek Dietrich getting the start at second. And Dedeiny Echeverria back in the lineup at short, and JT Realmuto back behind the plates. And here is Braun, certainly dangerous. 0 for 3 last night, and the Marlins will have their infield back. With Santana at third base and 1 out. Braun coming off an all-star season last year. Hit 25 homers, 27 doubles, and impressively stole 24 bases. He is 32 this year. And so far, this is not the strike throwing Wei-Yin Chen that the Marlins have seen this season. Braun has delivered this run all 3 times he's been in the spot. Game number 23 for the Brewers. They are 8-14. The Marlins, with a 6-game win streak, have arrived at 500 at 11-11. Two and one. On a hop, Dietrich, his play is at first and he makes it. And the Brewers have tied it. Braun drives in the run.
Well, Ryan Braun right there showing his experience in driving in runs, knowing don't try to pull the baseball, hit it to the opposite end. That's what RBI guys do. It's not a coincidence or any luck that they have in driving in runs. Has a game plan and stuck with it. Pitch middle in, didn't try to pull off from it.
Jonathan Lucroy now in the cleanup spot. Brewers catcher Lucroy last night kind of ruined the some of the fun in the 9th as Jose Urena was trying to nail down the no-hitter. He had 1 out in the 9th, and Lucroy hit a soft pop that landed over the outstretched glove of Derek Dietrich. Adam Conley, 7 2/3 innings. It was fascinating to listen to 2 interviews last night. Conley's interview was exceptional, and then Don Mattingly on Marlins Live talking about his decision to pull him. And you know, Mattingly talked to us about it today, talking about the pitch count. He was at 116. Had he not walked the hitter in the 7th and not walked a hitter in the 8th, his pitch count probably lower at that point. Mattingly said maybe he would have felt a little bit better about letting him get into the 9th inning.
Well, Don has a responsibility to that young man right there to have a heck of a career, a long career. And the numbers have indicated you leave him out there for a long time, things don't turn out so well in the future. So it's a tough decision, yet it was the right decision in the Marlins' eyes.
One thing he did tell us, though, he said, you know what? If Adam Conley was Wei-Yin Chen, and a veteran that's pitched 5 years in the big leagues, a little bit older, understood his body a little better, he may have reconsidered at that point. Echeverria on to first in time. The Brewers tie the game. 1-1 start here in Milwaukee. is the presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. 1-1 Marlins and Brewers in the second. Yes, the Racing Sausages. We've scouted the Sausages, and now we will scout Chase Anderson. What you got, Eduardo?
Well, one thing he does do is that changeup. Loves to go to it, especially with left-handed hitters. He's a Sooner. We talked about that. And he was drafted 3 times. Once out of high school, once out of junior college, and once out of OU. A Sooner.
One-0 pitch, jam shot. Now there may be a fan or two out there that is not aware of Bugs Bunny and his baseball career.
But it was like, what do you mean there's not a fan that's aware?
No, I said there might be a fan or two that is not aware of Bugs Bunny's baseball career.
That's a big might. Big might.
Here's the 1-1. Fouled at the plate. So I'm asking you to go a little deeper in that scouting report. Give me Bugs Bunny's changeup if you were scouting it.
All right, you guys remember when Bugs used to throw that changeup, and it just felt like it stayed just in midair and it would never reach home plate? Well, that's the kind of changeup this man has when he throws it well.
Echeverria, deep and gone. Another solo shot.
Lead off an inning, pa la calle.
How about the double play combination tonight? Dietrich homered deep to right on his very first swing, and Echeverria, a 2-strike swing, drills it to left center, and it's 2-1.
Well, he didn't miss this one, and he's even pointing the wrong way, I think, right there. He's pointing at us. Fastball right down the middle. He gets out of the box in a hurry. He did not know this ball was gone, but that's the beauty of this ballpark. Gap to gap, the ball flies, and right there, he let it be known.
Now there's half the audience are pitchers, and they're listening to you saying there's nothing beautiful about that. It's a great hitter's park, a great hitter's environment.
It is. I mean, no wind to deal with, but at the same time, just the conditions of this ballpark, and Anderson right there just a little frustrated. Keep throwing that ball down the middle. The Marlins are making him pay by not missing it. Now going back to that Bugs Bunny changeup, we saw it right there on Chen. Just a pitch that he has great arm speed, yet the ball does not seem to get there. And back in the day, if you're a fan of the 80s, it was Mario Soto that used to throw it. In the 90s, it was Pedro Martinez that used to throw that changeup. You had Trevor Hoffman used to throw an unbelievable changeup like that. And Anderson, he's trying to make a mark of it, but he needs to be able to locate the rest of his pitches well for that pitch to function.
Dietrich hit a first pitch fastball and blasted it to right. He got a breaking ball to begin this at bat.
Here comes the changeup.
Has good run to it, and it runs right off the plate. It's 2-0.
Well, the good news for Anderson is, yes, he has allowed 2 home runs, but at least they've been solo shots, and that's one thing that the Brewers, if you see how many home runs they've allowed so far this season, 36, second in the National League.
Craig Counsell watching, and Derek Dietrich walks. Now, how about that? If you were Derek Dietrich, you're filling large shoes in the leadoff spot of D. Gordon. And Don Mattingly told us that one of the things he said to Dietrich was just be yourself. Don't worry about being a leadoff hitter. Be the guy that has a good knowledge of the strike zone, will get hit by pitches, and has pop. And he homered in his first at bat and walks here.
Showed that knowledge right there. So far, you're talking about 3 walks for the Marlins in an inning and a third. And it's not that Anderson has been really wild. It's more that the Marlins are actually being very patient at the plate, laying off pitches that they weren't laying off earlier on in the season.
Martin Prado called out on strikes in the first. Check swing. No swing, says first base umpire Kerwin Danley. It counts 1 ball, 1 strike. This 6-game win streak that Miami is riding has carried them to places they've not been in a while. It has brought them to an even 500 at 11-11. Prado's pop-up is behind first. Carter gives chase, and it's a foul ball. So a 6-game win streak. The last time the Marlins had won 6 in a row was July of 2014. And you can see it has brought them back closer to the pack in the East.
That pack has been winning a lot of games also.
Now the last time they've won 7 in a row, you've got to go all the way back to 2012. That was May of 2012. Into center field. Prado continues to swing it. My goodness, second in the National League in hitting. He's only 11 for 19 on the road trip. Steals and deals are back, and so are the Diamondbacks. Coming up on May 3rd, Marlins and Diamondbacks at 7:10. First 10,000 fans get an Ichiro t-shirt, courtesy of Saito Pharmaceutical. An Ichiro t-shirt on Tuesday night. Go to Marlins.com today. Now Christian Yelich with Dietrich at second and Prado at first.
See Lucroy right here giving the sign to the infielders. If he goes to second on the throw, if they try to steal it, or if he goes to third. That way they won't leave their position if they try the double steal. Most likely they'll end up going to third base on this throw with a clear path.
Pickoff. And Dietrich back in.
That's what happens when you're a leadoff hitter. They think you can run. He
can run a little bit.
He can, but it doesn't matter. It's like Santana leading off for the Brewers. High on base percentage guy, yet not that fast. But everybody thinks, hey, leadoff guy, he can run.
I think a lot of people, when D. Gordon was suspended in the hours after that, immediately looked at the Marlins lineup and said, all right, who's going to hit leadoff? People focused on not Dietrich, not Prado, that man, Christian Yelich, because of his history as a leadoff man, his high on base percentage. But I know you and Preston both said the same thing that Don Mattingly said. Why mess with a good thing? The Marlins really like Yelich in the 3 spot in front of Stanton.
He is a 3-hole hitter right now, and he's patient at the plate. Doesn't try to change so much. He's doing a great job there. And again, to me, less is more. Don't move everybody around in position. Just insert where you're supposed to. The second baseman right now, Derek Dietrich, just put him right there at the top of the order, right where D has been all season.
We asked Michael Hill last night, Marlins president of baseball operations, to give us 2 names as a leadoff hitter, and he said Derek Dietrich.
That's 2.
First and last. 1-2 to Yelich. In the dirt. Well, the inning opened with another home run. Adeiny Echeverria, after Wei-Yin Chen struck out. Dietrich walked. Prado singled. And Chase Anderson is 51 pitches in already. Yelich holds up on a high fastball. Count is full 3-2. All right, Eduardo, with one out and Yelich at the plate, do you think about starting Dietrich and Prado?
I do not. And I know he's a contact hitter and everything, but I do not right here. I leave the opportunity for that man right there to do the job.
Not running. Pitch is in. Although Lucroy was set up out, he reached across the plate. Yelich walks. Bags are loaded, and here comes Stanton. And that pitch.
Yeah, but watch where Lucroy is set right here. He's not getting the call because completely missing location Anderson was. Yelich got a little fortunate right there. If Lucroy would have been set up inside, that would have been a different story.
Derek Johnson is the pitching coach, the new pitching coach here in Milwaukee. He's at the mound. Stanton is at the plate. For Giancarlo Stanton, he walked back in the first. This is his first time back in Milwaukee. His first game in Milwaukee. Last night he had the night off. He simply watched since that horrific beating at the end of 2014. Bags loaded. Shift is on. And Anderson pumps in a fastball for a strike.
It's really interesting with the shift on. I think they're sacrificing a little bit of that double play depth situation, allowing one run to score, even if he hits it on the ground.
Stanton takes in with the bags loaded. Stanton in his career has done a lot of damage. He has 5 grand slams. He's seen 2 fastballs. And now the count goes to 2-1.
This could be 6. You can look at it either which way. 6 grand slams or 6 runs for the Marlins today with one swing of the bat.
The 2-1. And he chased.
He went changeup on that one. Went to his money pitch, was sacrificing pitching, having a pitch out of the zone.
So if you're Anderson here, do you go back to that money pitch, or do you try to get up and in with a fastball?
I go up and in. I would not try to that pitch twice.
2-2. He doubled up on it and he missed.
He doubled up, missed, out of the zone. Now 3-2. My thing is this: he throws it 2-1. Might as well throw it 3-2 right here. Might as well trade a run, even if Giancarlo does not chase out of the zone.
That would be tripling up on a righty on righty changeup with the bags loaded.
That's his best pitch.
See what he does. 3-2. Yep. Changeup, 83 miles an hour. He tripled up on it and he got the strikeout.
Right there, he would have rather have walked Giancarlo with the bases loaded on that pitch out of the zone. Then Giancarlo hit the fastball probably very hard through a wall.
Well, the Marlins got a leadoff homer in the first, loaded the bases, left them loaded. A leadoff homer here in the second. Bags are loaded, and now there's 2 outs. And a fastball into Bohr. Ball and a strike. Bohr, a line drive base hit in the first, so he's 4 for 5 in this series. Bohr right field, and he didn't get it. And Santana makes the catch. And the Marlins, who left them loaded in the first, leave them loaded in the second, but lead it 2-1. It's our Geico Brewers moment. A young lefty, Juan Nieves, just his second year in the big leagues. The only no-hitter in Brewers history. The great Robin Yount making that catch in right center field. And Juan Nieves with a little bit of history, but a little bit of caution. And today, I hope you had a chance to watch Marlins live. Bill Schroeder, the fine analyst here for Milwaukee, was the catcher that night for Nieves, who returns as the pitching coach for the Marlins. And in talking to Nieves, what a special night it was. What a fascinating conversation, especially in the context of last night with Adam Conley being lifted at 116 pitches. Nieves in that no-hitter against Baltimore threw 128 pitches. Now, if ever there was a guy, a pitching coach, that understands protecting a young arm, Nieves is the guy. 87 was his second year in the big leagues. He threw that no-hitter. You saw 128 pitches. He would make 81 total starts in his career. His left shoulder bothered him in the offseason. He said his innings workload, a lot of innings in 87. And that shoulder injured, he pitched, but not effectively in 88, and he was done. 3 years in the big leagues. And so when he's involved in that conversation, and it was Don Mattingly's decision to make, but certainly Nieves had some input in it. He said in talking to Jessica that he felt he paid the consequence of that 1987 season. And that's why he said people are so concerned about pitching now. It is a commodity to have great young pitching.
You know, the Marlins want to be able to go far this season, and in the future they're going to need Fernandez, Chen, and the man that was on the mound yesterday, Adam Conley.
Bouncer to short, call in Walsh, and Echeverria gets some help from Justin Bohr. And Wei-Yin Chen looks much more in rhythm and much more around the plate here in the second inning.
Yeah, that first pitch in the first inning, really, he was struggling to get it over and pitching from behind. But now he's really settled down, throwing that first pitch strike, forcing the Milwaukee Brewers to swing away.
It's funny, I remember Juan Nieves as a starter for the Brewers. I remember watching him as a kid pitch. And when he arrived as the Marlins pitching coach, and I went to look up his major league career, I was stunned that he pitched only 3 years in the big leagues.
3 years. He was an impactful pitcher, though, the first 2 years of his career.
Yeah, pitched in the postseason. Obviously had that no-hitter, and he said the shoulder injury that he had he suffered that injury in this day and age, it probably would have been repaired, and he probably would have been able to pitch and resume his career. To left, and it's hit well. Yelich at the track makes the catch. And Aaron Hill flies out to the warning track. 2-1 Marlins. 3 solo homers on the board right now. Of solo homers. The Brewers nearly hit a solo homer, so let's clarify that before we remind you, if you can't watch the Marlins on TV, you can stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, stream the Marlins wherever you go.
Well, how cool would it be right here? Marcell Ozuna would lead off the inning with another home run.
He would bail me out. Change up for a strike to Ozuna. Derek Dietrich, first pitch of the game, home run. Danny Echeverria, leadoff homer in the second. Ozuna walked. He continues to pump up that on-base percentage, and now he's behind in the count 0-2.
Well, he's been very patient at the plate. Also has to be very careful also to be too passive at the plate. There's a fine line between both.
Ground ball off of Carter's glove, and it ricochets into center field. Ozuna with a big turn. That was hit hard enough to be a base hit. And it is.
Watch how quick this ball gets to Chris Carter. He tried to stay down, yet the ball came up on him. Hit him right probably off the heel of the glove. He'll take that hit. An 0-2 pitch. And that's exactly what Don Mattingly was telling him. Start taking pitches, you become more passive. The scouting report changes. Instead of throwing anything out around the plate, he'll swing at it. Now they have to come into his kitchen, and it's a good kitchen.
Ozuna looking across the diamond at Lenny Harris. Real Muto bounced into a fielder's choice in the first. Miami has had a mess of base runners in this one. Real Muto, center field, well hit. Flores goes back, looking up. That ball's off the wall. Flores got it quickly, and Ozuna's coming home. Here comes the throw. Ozuna with a slide. He's out. Oh, he's safe.
He dropped the ball.
Ozuna is safe. And Real Muto with an RBI double. It's 3-1 Miami. Luke Croy seemingly had him. A strong throw from VR. Flores, the carom came right to him. And Ozuna scooted around, and it's 3-1.
All in all, great relay right here by Jonathan Villar. Watch how he keeps his feet moving. Lenny Harris aggressive, yet because the catcher can't block it, ball comes right out of the glove. See how he places the tag on him. Ball never came out.
No, it didn't.
He just missed the tag. Yep, missed the tag. I thought the ball came out of his mitt. Very aggressive Lenny Harris part, no outs, sending Marcell Ozuna, which hustled.
A lot of moving parts to that play, including the umpires. That was Kerwin Danley, the first base umpire, who was behind home plate. The umpires rotating with that ball in the outfield. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't. You don't see that very often, but that's all communication. That's like the hidden part, the beauty of what the umpires do.
You had Danley hustling from first as Adam Hamari, the home plate umpire, rotated up to third. There's a ground ball in the hole. Diving stop there by Walsh on his feet just in time to get Echeverria. The Real Muto with an RBI double. A few more looks.
Great call by KD. See KD at the bottom right, making the call, waiting, not jumping to a conclusion. Beautifully done. And back in the day, catchers would be blocking that plate. Different altogether now. Swipe tags.
Chen, a cue ball to short, bobbled the throw, and he's beaten it. How about that? Wei-Yin Chen hustling down the line. The bobble by VR. He was distracted by Real Muto going to third.
Well, he tried. Watch how he tries to go to third base before he even catches the ball and gets himself in position. We talk about Perry Hill, talking about funneling. Watch how Villar right there does not funnel it all the way into his belly button area. Tries to make the transfer out away, and then Chen hustling throughout. You don't see a lot of pitchers doing this, but he himself got himself on base now with 1 out, runners at the corner, and Derek Dietrich up at the plate. Fundamental baseball.
It is an error. Wei and Chen, they threw the ball out. They're asking for the ball. The problem is it's an error. It's not a hit. He does not have a major league hit. But I think maybe they want the ball just in case they change up on the scoreboard.
And they just did.
And they have. They just erased the error and gave him a hit. So here's Dietrich, and there's 1 out, and Chen is at first. And the pitch misses in. And the original scoring was error, E6.
That's an interesting call right there by the scorekeeper.
And you know what? Quite honestly, that one may be reviewed and taken away. But you got to get the ball just in case, don't you?
So that means they'll take away the ball too, right? I
Yeah,
mean, what happens to the ball?
He'll have to give the ball back if they overrule that.
That's a bummer.
Well,
I mean, that could have easily have been also a fielder's choice because Villar was going to third on that, then bobbled it, then decided to go to first.
2-0 pitch. Dietrich has homered. Pulls a ground ball. Diving stop. Hill gets the out. And Dietrich knocks home the run. Real Muto scores 2 runs across in the inning. And with 2 outs now, Martin Prado with Chen out at second.
It's a nice piece of hitting there. Dietrich changeup. After that fastball he saw in the first at bat, that's it. No more heaters from Anderson to him. He's able to get it in the hole, and Aaron Hill diving for it.
Now, Wei and Chen is at second base. I don't know that he's ever been to second base.
Well, he's got a very nice secondary lead with 2 outs, a couple steps behind the bag.
He has never scored a run.
Great. And I say great because base hit right here, Martin Prado, which has been in fuego. Let's see how Lenny Harris treats this. Very aggressive third base coach. See the lead. All pressure's on Lenny.
Now Chen can run. We saw that as he got up the line and beat the throw from Villar. Prado pops it down the right field line. Carter, Hill, and Santana. And it's Santana who slides, but he can't get it. And it's 0-2.
Well, Prado has been fortunate twice already, hitting 2 foul balls that way. That time, he was fortunate that Santana called off Hill. I think Hill would have been under that one. Going to be interesting also. Let's keep an eye on Chen next time he comes up in the bottom half of the inning. Never have been at second base, already having to have sprinted twice. Then on that foul ball also. Takes a little bit out of you.
Yeah, he has never had a hit. He has never walked in a game. He is, if that is a hit, he is now 1 for 16 in his career. Of course, in the American League, his first 4 years in the big leagues. Pitches down low. And one more postscript before he leaves the game, Chase Anderson. In your scatter report, you said he had a Bugs Bunny changeup.
Right.
One of our loyal viewers, Jim, just pointed out, today is actually National Bugs Bunny Day.
Oh boy, Jimbo.
So there's that. Here's the 1-2. Into that corner, and Santana is there, and he makes the catch. The Marlins get 2 more and lead it in Milwaukee 4-1. play like a champ. Last night, Adam Conley pitched like a champ. Beat the Brewers 6-3, 7 2/3, no hit. Walked 4, struck out 7. Career highs for innings and for pitches thrown. One lefty last night. Adam Conley, another lefty tonight. Weigh-in Chen, 4-1. Miami on top of the Brewers. Let's go down to Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich, Wei-In Chen says that one of his biggest challenges is still overcoming the language barrier. Chen speaks Taiwanese first. English is his second language. Because of that, I asked JT Realmuto, what has it been like working with Chen? And he says, surprisingly, it's been smooth sailing. He says that Chen knows enough English for him to communicate with him on the mound. If they have a deeper issue, they always make sure to discuss it in the dugout with Chen's translator.
That's a good point. We take it for granted that just because guys are out there on the same team, they can all communicate. And Eduardo, you've been in this situation. You've been teammates with players from all over. Baseball is a universal language. How do you, how do you communicate with somebody where you're not on the same page language-wise if you can't go into the dugout and hash it out with a translator? Out to short, and it's Echeverria.
You have to do your part. You have to do the best. And I played in Japan, and I had an interpreter also. And I tried to use my interpreter as really not, I didn't try to lean on him that much. I tried to also learn the Japanese language, at least learn words to be able to communicate with my teammates, either by hand gestures, whatever it may be, facial expressions, but just being a part of it, spending time with them, not only on the field, but going to lunch. My teammate in Tampa, I had Hideo Nomo, used to go to lunch with him a couple times, try out some of the Korean barbecue, which he liked and I loved also. I love food all around anyways. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to dive in to the unknown culture. And once you're able to do that, you start learning different words. And again, I've been in Puerto Rico seeing a lot of the American players go down there. And it's definitely, to me, curious to see when the Americans go and start learning the language and learning some of the Spanish words.
Chase Anderson strikes out, and there are 2 outs. Hanshin Tigers, 2001, was that your season in Japan?
2001 with the Hanshin Tigers, and I know Chen also played in Japan, and he also had to have learned, a lot of the Japanese language, and customs aren't the same, the culture isn't the same, but at the end of the day, he already had a leg up because he had experience playing in a different country.
Top of the order, Domingo Santana. He hit what was nearly a solo homer. Line drive off the top of the wall in left center, and would come around to score on Ryan Braun's ground ball out. That's the Brewers' run. Miami has 4 runs on 6 hits. Chen in that first was behind just about every hitter he faced, but he's cleaned it up since. He's retired 8 in a row.
My biggest question was, I wanted to see him after him running the bases, and so far so good. Aggressive. That just tells you what good a condition he's in right now with his legs.
Full count, 3-2. Milwaukee has lost 3 straight. They are 8-14. Of course, the Marlins riding the 6-game win streak. Brewers in the basement of the Central. And that's a walk. Santana, a 2-out walk. And Jonathan Villar will come to the plate. The Cubs are atop the Central. Chicago postponed today. Wet stuff at Wrigley. The Braves and the Cubs. Pirates are 5 over. St. Louis sputtering a bit. They're 12 and 11, 5.5 back in the Central. VR swings and misses. Marlins in the East have improved to 11 and 11 with this 6-game win streak. The Nationals beat the Cardinals in St. Louis 6-1. One of the biggest additions to any contender, kind of an under the radar guy. And as far as additions, it was last year, but he's emerged, and that's Joe Ross. Ross is now 3-0 with a 0.79 ERA.
I watched that game today against the Cardinals, and he was aggressive down in the zone, hitting a lot of ground balls, and that's a great addition right there to the back end of that rotation.
Yeah, if in another month, you might not say he's at the back of that rotation.
No, not at all. But you look at the two guys that are at the back end of that rotation, Roark and Ross, both of them just unbelievable. They've been actually carrying that team so far. It's not been the big names.
0-2. And VR takes in. Also today, the Mets and the Giants. And the Mets beat the Giants 6-5. Jacob deGrom is now 3-0. His ERA is at a run. And Matt Cain is 0-3. His ERA 7. 1-2 to the Brewers shortstop. And VR fouls it at the plate.
VR now with 2 strikes changes his entire stance. Actually was a lot more open the first 2 pitches that he fouled off. Now see, he made the adjustment with that back foot. Now it's pointing more towards the dugout and not towards first base like we showed. He's not as open, spread out.
Fastball, Chen gets him, strikes him out, and the Brewers are done in the third. Miami up 4-1. A 4-1 lead over the Brewers. A couple home runs, Derek Dietrich and Adeiny Echeverria. Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton, Justin Bour. Appointment television in the 4th. Yelich takes a strike. Yelich walked in the second. 23 games in a row now. Yelich has reached base. All 23 for the Fish. Ball and a strike. That's a swing.
Wow, that's a tough one right there.
Dan Bellino at third base.
And it's really difficult because he has the black batting gloves also with the black bat for the umpires. They've always said very difficult to see if they go or not.
Fastball, little tapper out towards second. And Yelich is out. Aaron Hill makes the play. The next Kids Eat Free Wednesday is May 4th. The Diamondbacks are coming. Arizona's only trip in. It's a 7:10 start. Every child under 12 with a ticket will receive a coupon for a free KMB Frank bag of Frito-Lay chips and a small Pepsi or Aquafina water. Get your tickets at marlins.com.
That's great news. That right there, Kids Eat Free Wednesdays, great news. My daughter's actually singing the national anthem with her school on Wednesday, so now I know I don't have to.
You don't have to buy dinner.
I don't have to buy dinner.
Big shot you are.
Hot dogs.
There's a strike to Stan. What school is it so we can get ready?
St. Stephen's. St. Stephen's in the Grove. Fourth graders will be singing the national anthem. She's been practicing every day. Oh
Stanton
my!
Drives it deep. Oh wow!
Oh!
Giancarlo.
Oh, I have to laugh because the sound was amazing. First and foremost, the balance was impeccable, and as soon as he hit it, everyone in the stadium knew it. What a great swing, great moment for him.
To come back into this ballpark after that moment in September of 2014, Stanton driving one way out of here. And here is Bohr. A swing and a miss.
He knew it. What a weight off his chest. He knew it right then and there. After striking out with the bases loaded, that's not happening again.
Watch where this thing hits. The channel 4 sign. Bohr flips it with Braun charging, and it lands foul. I mean, that's, I want to say 40 feet up.
He put on a show today in batting practice, and all the fans were oohing and ahhing. And players from the Milwaukee Brewers were just sitting oohing and awing also.
That was 81 miles an hour on the way in, 111 on the way out. And you know what? I'll bet you somewhere in Milwaukee right now, the physicians, the doctors, the people that put him back together, they're probably Brewer fans. But you know what? I'll bet you they're cheering right now.
Oh, without a doubt. They have to be. It's the human side.
I'll bet you they're smiling right now. Ozuna left field. Braun has room and makes the catch. Giancarlo Stanton. The distance isn't in yet. But when it comes back, it will be impressive. Carlos Stanton with a solo homer, a mammoth one. Now, our pick to click tonight, I had Derek Dietrich, 7 points. Eduardo's banking on Christian Yelich. Jess with Giancarlo is right now in second place at 6 points. Jess, you're feeling good about yourself, aren't you?
I am feeling very good about myself right now. Thank you, Eduardo, for picking Christian Yelich. And hey, Giancarlo Stanton also has to be feeling pretty good himself. You guys mentioned this is his first time back since that horrific incident. I talked to him before tonight's game, and he said that he thought that he was going to think about that in the batter's box, but he figured that he would be fine. As far as the footage of that injury, Giancarlo Stanton has never seen it, and he says, I have no desire to see it. I lived it. I had a front row seat.
Yeah, that was a night we'd all like to forget. And one of the, I mean, to me, as well as Stanton crumpled in the batter's box, the lasting image is the closest person not in uniform to him when he was hit was his father. How ironic. And Stanton said that one of the things that helped him through it all was his father being there and being as calm and collective and not, I mean, he looked in his father's eyes, and he said he drew a lot of strength from that. His dad was not panicked. His dad was calm. Braun sends a line drive into center field. And a base hit. It's away in Chen. Sitting on a 5-1 lead here. Jonathan Lucroy, Chris Carter, and Colin Walsh are coming up. It seems like all of a sudden everybody in the East is hot. The Mets won again today. They've won 8 in a row. The Phillies are winning right now. They've won 4 in a row. The Marlins are winning right now. They've won 6 in a row.
Just as you mentioned it, the Cleveland Indians tied the Phils.
Breaking ball's a strike. That came midway through. Tied at 3. Braun's at first. Lucroy takes in. Wei-Yin Chen wobbled a bit in the first inning. Was behind many of the hitters in that inning. Gave up a run. He struck out 2, walked 1. Bouncer to short. Echeverria. Dietrich's turn. That's right on the money. Derek Dietrich turned a double play last night, and he looks comfortable around the bag so far.
Well, he's been working ever since spring training with Perry Hill all over third base, second base. Watch right here. The Danish Echeverria giving him a nice feed, taking his time. Ryan Braun sliding way ahead of time, protecting himself, getting down. See the footwork. Nicely done.
Here's Chris Carter. Carter is a all or nothing guy. We talked about him last night. Massive power. Lots of strikeouts, but good on base percentage. Quicken Loans brings you Rocket Arms. Hits per 9 innings. And the Marlins right now 4th on that list. Nationals and Phillies. I don't know that anybody saw the pitching that the Phillies have coming, or at least this quickly.
Not at all. A lot of hard throwers. Vince Velasquez threw a gem a couple weeks ago, and then after that, they've just been pounding the zone, giving their offense an opportunity.
Full count. Carter last year 24 homers. for the Astros. He hit 199, but slugged 427. And he takes inside.
That's the curious case right there of Chris Carter. You had said it strikes out a lot, but he's got a very keen eye for the strike zone. As we look at the Brewers box score on the right, top of the lineup has really done the damage. The bottom so half. This is their second time around. Total of 0 for 5 with a runner on first, and that's Chris Carter.
Jose advising Don Mattingly as he ran through the signs.
You think Jose is trying to tell him, hey, Skip, you wouldn't have taken me out of the game yesterday, would you?
Well, they've had that discussion.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did.
How did that go?
Well, Jose said, there's no way you would have taken me out of the game. And Don Mattingly said, well, I would have told you, do you want to pitch again? And Jose said, well, you would have given me an extra day, right? And Don said, no, I mean ever. And he said, you know, if I let you go to 135, 140 pitches, you just came off Tommy John surgery. What happens if that's the last game you pitch?
I think he's still trying to let him know, Skip, I think I could have been out there. Just give me a day. Okay, 2.
It's like, and he wasn't even the pitcher in that game. He's just playing the hypothetical. One, two, end of the bat. Little roller up the line, and Bohr gets to the bag, and Wei-Yin Chen doing nicely in a 5-1 Marlin lead. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. By Checkers, fast foodies know the deal. And by your South Florida Chevy dealer. Bernie's dugout, it used to be his chalet, right? Now it's his dugout. I think when the Brewers are out in the field, Bernie is pounding a Miller Lite somewhere. Pitch misses down low. Did you play in the old ballpark where Bernie went?
Oh, yes.
In the much more traditional, in the Bavarian sense, of the chalet into the mug of beer?
Right. County Stadium. Played there.
Breaking ball to Real Muto. This is the modern Bernie's dugout with a...
There's air conditioning in there, too.
Yes.
Well, we're all in air conditioning.
One of those vibrating chairs. Real Muto is out.
That's close.
Wow.
That's really close.
Real Muto kind of looking askance at Kerwin Danley. Tim Wallach is on the phone.
Oh, he's going to challenge it.
Yeah, Don Mattingly's going to come out and say, let's look at that. Try to get a hit now for Real Muto. Back of glove. Oh.
That's a tough angle from there.
Yeah, it was. Better angle.
That's a better angle.
Pat Shine in Miami's replay room.
Let it shine.
On it. So you did play in County Stadium with the Bernie's old digs.
Oh, yes. I did play there. Boy, gonna get cold there. The wind. Clubhouse, nothing to write home about.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be an infield hit for JT Realmuto. And Realmuto's got 2 more hits. He is 12 for his last 22.
And ever since he made an adjustment at the plate, got closer to the plate, and ever since he has done that, he really turned things around. Balls that were away, that he felt that he couldn't get to it, that were being called strikes, has made that adjustment.
Echeverria watching Lenny Harris at third. Realmuto will steal a base if you ignore him. He has a bag this year. Of course, Danny Echeverria lost one in the second. He drilled a homer into the Brewers bullpen in left center field. A bullpen which is active right now. Chase Anderson, 94th pitch here in the 5th. Ball and a strike.
Quick reaction right there by Jonathan Lucroy, but to me that's more of a set play. Fastball away, giving him the opportunity to come up quick. Try to save Anderson some pitches at 94 so far.
That one's into right field. Echeverria shoots it the opposite way. Nice job by Realmuto to hold up and not get hit.
That's a great piece of hitting by Echeverria after going deep. Watch how he stays completely inside that one, not trying to do too much, taking advantage of the hole. Left vacated by Chris Carter. JT can only get to second base after letting that baseball get by him. Now good time right here for Chen to help himself with a bunt and put runners at second and third for Dietrich.
There's Chen's bunt. It's a good one. And that's going to set Dietrich up with runners at second and at third. Coors Light, cold hard fact. First pitch of the game. Last Marlin to homer on the first pitch of a road game was Cameron Maben in Atlanta all the way back in 2010.
Now this is a decision right now that the Milwaukee Brewers and Craig Counsell have to make. They have a left-hander in the bullpen that can face Derek Dietrich. This is a thing already at 90 plus pitches for Anderson. Let's see if Craig Counsell takes him out right here, just buying time and bring in the lefty, or walk Dietrich and face the hot-hitting Prado.
Yeah, there's your answer.
He's going to a double switch. He's doing this really early. He did this yesterday in the 5th inning and almost ran out of players by the 9th inning.
But if he feels this is his only chance to slow the game down and stop the scoring, he's going to try to do it now. And Chris Capuano, a guy who's been a starter, is going to come out of the bullpen. It is a West Kendall Toyota call to the pen, 5-1 Fish. Marlins on top. Craig Counsell, our inside look, brought to you by Toyota and the RAV4. He's part of a quartet of ex-Marlins who have managed in the big leagues. Mike Redmond, Rick Renteria, and Walt Weiss. Since 1993, 36 Major League players have become Major League managers. And Counsell, his double switch brings Hernan Perez into the game. He's at third, and he goes into the 9 spot in the order. And the venerable lefty, Chris Capuano, is in. And he'll pitch to Derek Dietrich. You got Martin Prado on deck. And the infield is in for Dietrich.
Well, their hope is to try to get Dietrich out here, then walk Prado and go after Yelich with the bases loaded.
First pitch, a strike. Capuano, a guy that not a hard thrower. Great off-speed stuff. Chris Capuano, one of the few players pitching with 2 Tommy John surgeries. And Dietrich fouls it off.
That's a really good start by Capuano, going slider away but in the strike zone and going in. Now Derek has to open the zone a little bit. Capuano has to be careful going into Derek Dietrich. Derek will not get out of the way. We've already seen that a couple times. He'll put that elbow in there.
Capuano, a Duke product. Struck him out. Dietrich caught looking.
Now the right call right here for the Brewers is to walk Prado. This should be a no-brainer and go after Christian Yelich. See where the pitch was, right belt high. And no surprise here.
Well, of course, Yelich is a guy that in his career he's shown he can hit lefties and he can hit righties.
But it's the safe call, and it's actually the right call for Craig Counsell to do. Prado's been way too hot, both with lefties and righties pitching, and he also knows that this was my pick to click. Put some runners on.
But does he know that Yelich, there's his career numbers and his career splits. This year, Yelich is 7 for 13 against lefties with a double and 3 RBIs. So here is Yelich against Chris Capuano. Yelich has bounced to second twice, and he's walked. Capuano, longtime starter, has kind of reinvented himself as a reliever. He is the only pitcher, and this is as of late last year, to have 2 Tommy John surgeries and then make at least 10 starts in the big leagues.
Wow. So is that TJ squared? To the power of 10?
Yes. You want to avoid that. Here's the 1-0. Yelich takes in. And that's the other thing, the dynamic with pitching to Yelich as opposed to pitching with Prado. Yelich much more discerning when it comes to swinging at bad pitches.
Oh, let's see if he sets a cookie for him right here.
Bags loaded, 2 outs. Yelich drives it left field and deep into the corner and into the seats. Foul. Seven doubles. A home run. And the 2-1. It's down low, and now it's 3-1. And obviously no place to put Yelich.
And then if he does walk, no one warming up in the pen, and it would be mano a mano with that big man right there, Giancarlo.
Bases filled with fish. 5-1 right now. 2 outs. And a 3-1 coming to Christian Yelich. A strike.
Throwing a little slider, get me over. Throws a 3-1. He might as well throw it 3-2. More control with it. But if you're going to do that, and you're the outfield, you're playing opposite field right here. There's a big gap in the right center gap. Big hole in the right center gap right now for Christian Yelich. Good opportunity to drive one and drive in 3 as runners will be in motion.
Off they go on a 3-2 to Yelich. And he just gets a piece, and that slider had more of the outside part.
Oh, look at that. It's kissing that corner. Christian having to take that pitch.
Per plate appearance, well above the major league average. Real Muto, Echeverria, and Prado on the move again. And another 3-2. It's out, and Yelich walks. And the Marlins lead at 6-1. And now it's Stanton. And as Eduardo pointed out, there's nobody in the bullpen. The pitch was out. And so Craig Counsell's worst fears are realized here. He's got Capuano against Stanton, who blasted a ball up off of the scoreboard in deep left center field. His last time up for his 8th home run, his 5th home run in his last 6 games. Swing and a miss. Here it was, and watch, pay particular attention to where it hits. Watch the TMJ4 sign.
We'll trust you on it because watch this right here. Boom! Oh. See, now he's hunting out of the zone. 2 pitches that were out of the zone. And when he does that, trying to swing really hard is falling back. Has to be able to stay under control. We saw it in LA. We saw it here in the last at-bat.
And Capuano with the great change. His fastball misses out.
Tried to overthrow it, but did not want to throw it in the zone. It's 90 miles per hour. That's a show-me pitch. Time to go back to the soft stuff.
Stanton does not have good numbers in his career against Capuano. A rocket on a hop to VR, who throws to first to get the out. The Marlins get one more and lead at 6-1. Jeep is a presenting sponsor of Miami Marlins baseball. Water Street in Milwaukee. Inside Miller Park, it's 6-1 Miami. As the Marlins continue to pound the baseball, they've hit 3 home runs. Derek Dietrich, Giancarlo Stanton, Adeiny Echeverria. And Wei-Yin Chen is rolling along into the bottom of the 5th, and he misses up to Aaron Hill. Chen trying to follow in the footsteps of Adam Conley, who picked up the win last night after 7 2/3. And Chen has been able to get deep his last 2 times out, pitching into the 7th in Los Angeles in beating the Dodgers, and through 7 in his loss to Washington. And a lot of contact like that, off the barrel type contact. Hill is out number 1, and it brings up Ramon Flores, the Brewers center fielder. It is 6-1 Miami. It very easily could be 12-1. The Marlins have left 10 on base.
Giancarlo, even with that home run, he hit it with no one on, has left the bases loaded twice already.
Hard to fault him on the last out, though.
Oh, that was a rocket.
It was probably 110 miles an hour on a hop to the shortstop. And the exit speed on his home run was almost at 117 miles an hour. Statcast had it at 116.8. And that is the second fastest exit on a home run this year. I believe Stanton has the fastest exit speed, regardless of whether it was a home run, on a single this year.
So who was it? Was it Carlos Gonzalez? I think it was 117.4, I think it was.
Carlos Gonzalez, Carlos Gomez.
Carlos Gonzalez.
Gotcha. You are the only analyst I know that gets notes and statistics on his watch. There's a liner, and Prado has got it. I'm not telling. Look. Can we shoot the booth right now? Here we are calling a major league game, and you use everything you've got. You've got a scorebook here. You've got media guides, iPad, and look at this guy.
Right here. Zoom on in, big guy. There we go. Showing everything.
I mean, he's got spray charts. He's got his old Houston Astros defensive shift stuff.
Got the app
on,
watch. The app on, the whole thing. You need something right here. Right here.
How long does that thing stay charged over the course of a game?
I have to charge it every night.
That's what I thought.
They lied to me. They told me every 2 days. Not the way I use this bad boy.
Expertly played by Prado.
He funneled it all the way in, though. Yes. Perry Hill very happy. See, he's even saying it right there.
The Marlins, of course, started last year. They still, when an out is made, whether behind the plate or out in the field, throw the ball to Prado. And there's a lot of people, especially with a strikeout for the 3rd out, feel like the catcher forgot how many outs there were because whether it's Real Muto or Mathis, they'll fire it down to 3rd like they're throwing it around the horn. But it is a salute and a tip of the cap to Prado, who's their leader. Into right. Stanton is there. Let's see if Stanton throws it down into Prado. Got to get it to Prado. And he's on his way with the ball to give it to a kid. 6-1, Miami. It is cold and raining outside, but we're inside with Eduardo Perez, Jessica Blaylock, Rich Waltz with you. Marlins and Brewers, this would be game 2 on a Saturday night in Milwaukee. And the Marlins up 6-1. They've chased the starter for the Brewers, Chase Anderson, and it's Chris Capuano who continues on. Capuano came in and got the last 2 outs of the 5th. He did walk a run in. He gets Justin Bour, Marcell Ozuna, JT Realmuto. Nobody warming up right now in the Brewers pen. Capuano, who's used to starting, he can pitch to lefties and to righties. He's out in front of Bour, 0-2. Big night last night for Bour. He drove in 5, hit 2 out of the park, doubled. He has a line drive single to show for 3 at bats tonight. Nine hits for Miami. The Marlins have left 10. Only 2 hits for the Brewers, but 2 more than they had the first 8 innings of last night's game. And Bour swings and misses and strikes out. Fox Sports supports. Visit foxsportsupports.com, the Surfrider Foundation. You can make a difference in the environment. That's a real contrast. I mean, the beach with the water and the sun. And here we are in Milwaukee where it's 40 and raining outside. Ozuna right center. That's blasted deep. And that's gone. Up into that deck. Toyota territory. That is a long opposite field home run. The Marlins have hit 4 solo homers.
Well, we were talking earlier about the patience of Marcell Ozuna at the plate. We've also talked about the jet stream here in right center field where the ball just absolutely flies. Both happened right now in this at-bat. Marcell Ozuna pitch middle in is able to just hit it hard, and you see the smiles of Barry Bonds and Frank Menechino. They've been working hard with Marcell. Swing at strikes, take the balls. Watch the pitch right here. Pitch out over the plate. Man, oh man, this is a strong man. Watch this play this man almost makes.
Wisely, he did not leave his feet.
Smart man. Emphasis on the almost.
And we talked about it last night. Ozuna had that incredible series here back in 2014. And he has lit it up again with 2 hits here, including home run number 3 on the season.
This ballpark's a great place to hit, to get in great habits.
Realmuto to left, and Braun is there, and he makes the catch. That one was well hit as well.
Very true of your right-handed hitter. Right there towards the Toyota territory, that red area you see on the right hand of your screen.
I mean, the gaps are very short by Major League standards, 371 and 374.
Yeah, they're short, and that's why players, you shouldn't try to even pull off here in this ballpark. You see the lines 344 and 345. Just seems to take off once you hit in that gap.
Now, you said something curious last night. You said the ball seems to carry better to right center than it does to left center.
It does. It just seemed that way. It just keeps you on the baseball. You know, the habit is, okay, home runs are being hit, but when you know home runs are being hit to right center field, you can stay inside of it. You can see it longer.
Echeverria homered to left in the 2nd.
This was a place when I played with the Cardinals that I was always looking forward to. And I wasn't the only one.
(7-1) Miami. The Marlins trying to peak their heads above 500 for the first time since August of 2014. Echeverria finds another hit to right field. He's kind of gotten back into that swing that took him over 280 on the year last year.
You know, some of the analytics don't lie, and they tell you when Adeiny Echeverria gets a day off, a mental break like he did yesterday, he is much better focused hitter the next day. And yesterday, Don Mattingly giving him the day off, and he working with Frank Menachino on that day off, you end up getting quality at-bats the next day.
Wei-Yin Chen takes a strike. Now Chen is 0 for 2. If you were with us, he hit a ground ball that was bobbled by Jonathan Villar. He beat the throw to first. It was charged as an error and then changed as a hit, and they threw the ball out of play because it would have been Chen's first major league hit. But now they've taken the hit away.
So did they write woulda, shoulda, coulda on the ball also?
I think they throw it into the batting practice bag at that point.
It's an emotional swing right there. This right there doesn't make any sense, throwing over to first base. You don't want to get picked off anyways. Don Mattingly is not going to send Adeiny anywhere with Chen at the plate. You don't want him leading off the next inning.
But if you're Chris Capuano and you've got one of the better moves in baseball, you can pick guys off who aren't stealing, and if you do it.
Well, if that happens, then Adeiny, just stay right there. Don't move. Stay right there. Look, even Chris Carter is not even going to hold him on, saying, you want to go ahead. There's no reason right now for him to go. It's 7-1 game, and it's not as much as a score as it is who's at the plate. Oh.
But isn't that the incentive, though, for Capuano to even just try maybe to pick him off, even if he's not going, so that he gets Chen as the leadoff hitter the next time he comes out?
No, it's the delay of game. That's not going to happen. I don't care how good of a move you have. If that happens, I'll bench Echeverria right now. You have to. He has to be as close as he can to the bag. This is a guy that's never had a base hit. And even when he does get one, they take it away from him a couple minutes later.
That's not right. Here's a 1-2. And Chen.
Yeah, throw over now. There we go.
He's got the out. Well, the Marlins hit another homer, their fourth. This time Marcell Ozuna opposite field up into Toyota territory. It's 7-1. Polish. I've got the bratwurst. Our producer, John Solser, chorizo. Christian Roberts has got the Italian. And
Bring it.
Ken Lee has got hot dog, and it's Eduardo Perez. Racing sausage.
Yes.
Oh.
Kielbasa, baby. Kielbasa.
No, this is not right. Insider information, Eduardo Perez wins by like 8 bun lengths. The racing sausage. Where did you get that inside information?
Oh, man, that was so much fun. Oh, this is great. Oh, you have to know people.
If you thought that was bad, folks, that's right.
You have to know people.
It appeared on your watch before the race.
You scout him right here, right on the watch.
If you thought that was bad, folks, you should have heard him when it was live.
Oh.
That was our Cricket Wireless reason to smile. Wei-Yin Chen, bottom 6.
If you're a Marlin fan, you have to be smiling at the score right there.
Liner to right. Stanton, did he get it? Yes. Tony Randazzo, the second base umpire, says catch. Stanton, an athletic slide.
Great adjustment. He broke back like 3 steps and then came back in.
And Domingo Santana is out. Number 1, you can see the ball.
It's a great adjustment.
There's Jonathan VR. Ryan Braun will follow. Wei-Yin Chen in the 6th. 7-1, 11 hits for Miami. The Brewers have just 2. Last night, the Brewers were nearly no hit, though they did rally for 3 runs in the 9th. Here, that first inning run is all that they've got. The reputation of Wei-Yin Chen in Baltimore was steady and effective. And a fastball at 91. He strikes out VR. 2 outs here in the 6th. Season ticket plans for Marlins baseball start at just $6 a game. Half-season plans, 3 great 20-game mini plans. All season tickets include entry into the Fish Family Loyalty Program and guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park. Go to marlins.com/season tickets. So a run on 2 hits. Chen, the beneficiary of 4 home runs. And he sits at 83 pitches. Near the bottom of the 6th inning. It would be nice if the Marlins can keep this margin to win the game. Big day tomorrow. Ryan Braun bobblehead Sunday. If the Marlins can keep this margin, then they might be able to rest a few key arms in the bullpen. A.J. Ramos is probably off limits tonight.
Probably. It's very nice of you.
Well, you know why? Because
that's very nice of you.
Don Mattingly said not going to use him. I asked Ramos, I said, hey, so you're probably have the night off? He said, don't say that.
That's a pitcher mentality.
Right. He said, don't say that.
No, but the smart move is, yes, he does have the night off. And you would have hoped that he would have had it yesterday also with a 6-0 no-hitter going into the last inning, but he had to come in and close the door down.
Braun on a hop. Dietrich gets the out. Wei-Yin Chen has been spectacular tonight. 87 pitches, 6 innings, a run on 2 hits, 7-1 Miami.
Derek Dietrich in the leadoff spot tonight in place of D. Gordon. Here is Dietrich on trying to step up for the Marlins.
Regardless of what position I'm in, I always put myself in a position to be ready to help the team and compete. And I'm thankful for the opportunity. Unfortunately, it comes at a kind of a disappointment. But we're going to look past that and keep playing hard and keep this win streak going and keep winning ball games.
And guys, he has come up for his team tonight. He hit the first of what has been a 4-home-run night for the Fish.
Yeah, Jessica, it was the first pitch of the game, and man, he blasted it off the second deck in right field. Adeiny Echeverria would lead off the second with a solo homer. Giancarlo Stanton would hit one way up on the scoreboard in left center in the fourth, and then Marcell Ozuna to right center field in the sixth. Michael Blazek is out of Milwaukee's pen. Chase Anderson started 4 1/3. Chris Capuano an inning and 2/3, and now Blazek out of the Brewers pen, and his fastball misses low to Dietrich.
Really enjoyed watching Blazek last season until he broke his hand. His right hand broke it last season at the end of August. It was placed on the 60-day DL, so that was it for the season. Really aggressive, had a really nice start to the season last year for the Brewers.
Counts 3-1. Dietrich steps out. James just sent a tweet wanting to know who won the Ichiro wager from last night, and Eduardo Perez just raked in a win on the sausage race, and I have to admit that I owe you a brat as well.
This gets better.
The wager was
the news keeps getting better.
A lot of times Ichiro, when he comes to a park where he hasn't played a whole lot of baseball, will come out early and take some fly balls just to see what the fence looks like, what the dimensions are like, ball out of the corner. And I've seen him do it actually on an off day, go to a ballpark and do that. And so I thought maybe he had done it last night. You said no way because of the late travel. Prado takes.
So what did he tell you?
I asked Ichiro, I said, did you come out and test the wall, walk around the outfield before the ball game last night? And he looked at me like I was nuts.
The same way I looked at you yesterday?
And I said, yes, the same way you did. And he looked at me and said, sleep was more important yesterday.
There we go.
So he got his sleep in yesterday. So there you go. You've won a brat. Oh. You've won the sausage race pot.
Oh, the calories keep adding up. I love it.
Prado. And Hill gets the out. Now tonight as well, our production truck decided to do a pick for click night. Pick to click night.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Well.
Come on, Christian.
Here's your chance.
Looks like you're running away with it right now, though.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're playing for anything. I don't think. I don't think legally we can do that.
No. No, it's all bragging rights. It's all pride. I even said it in the open. I'm surprised no one.
Now wait a minute.
Marcell.
Can we go back to that pick to click? So your 1 point came on a bases loaded walk. Got an RBI.
Got an RBI. Try to give Jess an opportunity to score more points. A lot of missed opportunities for Jess.
Yelich drives it right center field, and it goes to the wall. His 8th double. You'll pick up 2 points with the 2 bases.
I'm creeping. Just a good piece of hitting down and in. You hear it all the time on every highlight show. You go down and in to a lefty.
Why is that? Why is it just lefties that down and in have that type of swing? How come right-handers don't have that type of swing?
You ready for this? And there's 2 outs. I don't know if we'll have enough time, but if Giancarlo gives me 3 pitches, I think I'll be able to explain it. Lefties that throw righty. That's my belief in this. Why? Because the lefty that throws righty, his dominant hand is the right hand. So they tend to really pull through the inside part of the plate really well. Now notice the lefties that throw left, their swing is different. They're more top hand dominant. They come off a little bit more. If you look at like a Will Clark, for example, just a lot different than a lefty that throws righty down and in. And that's just me. There's no scientific proof to it. You want to tweet away and let me know, what do you think? You see that swing and miss and good balance right there from Giancarlo.
Well, you got your 3 pitches, and the Marlins have 3 guys who swing lefty and throw righty in Dietrich and in Bohr and in Yelich.
And down and in for them, I believe, is a strong point.
0-2. And why? And it's one of those.
How many lefty throwers do you see that hit righty? There's not a lot. That's why righties down and in aren't really as good as they are up in the zone, because their right hand is the dominant hand. Yet you had Ricky Henderson. He could hit that pitch down and in really well.
He hit just about every pitch pretty well.
Ricky did a lot of things well.
1-2 coming to Stanton. Strike 3 called. Stanton didn't like it. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're Blazek, I'd throw it there as well. Or at least I'd try to. 7-1 Marlins. That just didn't look right. And now there are 2 Batmen. And there's Batman. I like Barrelman. I mean, if I had to pick a superhero, I would go with Barrelman. He
Can't handle the bat, though.
He does not fight crime, but he quenches any thirst. It's a superpower. Look it up on your watch. Here's Lucroy with Chris Carter and the pitcher spot due up, and Wei-Yin Chen venturing into the bottom of the 7th inning. Ryan Braun has a single. Domingo Santana has a double, and that's it against Chen. Misses in with a fastball. Three strikeouts, couple walks. The run was earned back in the 1st. South Florida Honda dealers, get you ready for the series finale tomorrow. 1:30 start. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano in studio. Tom Kohler start. One and two. So a lot has happened to Wei-Yin Chen. In fact, for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, he had his first major league hit. The ball was taken out of play. I'm sure it was placed in a safe place.
Not for long.
No. Well, the official score gave the play an error to begin with, then changed it to a hit, and then changed it back to an error. And in all honesty, it was an error.
It was an error, fielder's choice, anything but a hit, but they really played with his emotions. It's an emotional game, man.
Liner into right center field. And Lucroy.
Great job by Giancarlo. Great job cutting that off. I think it's time for one of those Chevron promos.
You want to read it?
No, it's all on you.
Next, Chevron Crazy 8. Sure, you'll do the lineups, but not the Chevron promo, huh?
I'm consistent.
Marlins and Diamondbacks. It's a Crazy 8 night at 7:10. You can fill your car up with Techron gasoline and bring the receipt to the Marlins ticket office. Choose between 2 Lexus Legends level tickets or 1 home plate box ticket. Just $28. Chevron Crazy 8. Chris Carter. 94 pitches in is Wei-Yin Chen. Off-speed pitch, and it's 1-1.
Feed off his aggressiveness right there. What off speed. CC Chris Carter trying to cheat a little bit out front.
Chen thought he had a strike. Carter kind of fits the mold of Milwaukee Brewers past. The Brewers always seem to have guys that can absolutely rake, and right-handed hitters like that. You think about Rob Deere.
Gorman Thomas too, right?
Yeah, Gorman Thomas.
He was here yesterday.
He was part of Harvey's Wallbangers. I mean, all you got to do is look at the box score from the no-hitter that Juan Nieves threw. Yeah, that's the original Seattle Pilots. They moved here after the '69 season. Got him. Carter goes down. That Brewers lineup: Paul Molitor, Robin Yount, Glenn Braggs, Cecil Cooper, a young Dale Swain, lefty bat in Greg Brock. Of course, we told you that Bill Schroeder, the Brewers analyst on television, was the catcher. Little Jim Gantner was the left-handed bat. That was the '82 team. There's Bill Schroeder, terrific analyst, and a really nice job on the interview with Juan Nieves, as those two relived that no-hitter, the only no-hitter thrown by a Milwaukee Brewer. And still the only no-hitter thrown in this ballpark was in a game that didn't even involve the Brewers. It was the Astros against the Cubs. Carlos Zambrano no-hit the Astros. They had to play the game because of a hurricane. They had to evacuate their ballpark down in Houston. Not just one of the oddities of last night's ball game, plus the fact that the pitching coach for the guy attempting the no-hitter threw the only no-hitter in Brewers history, long before they got to this ballpark. Left center field, hit pretty well. Ozuna has it at the track, and that's going to chase the runner back. Juan Nieves. Oh yeah, Eddie Murray. That was a pretty good Baltimore team. Yount made the catch that helped seal the deal. And that's it. Since 1970, the only Brewers no-hitter. That Baltimore lineup that night had Cal Ripken Jr., Eddie Murray, Fred Lynn, Ray Knight, Lee Lacy, John Shelby. Rick Burleson was at second base. That one fouled back. Some of the other sluggers in Brewers history. Greg Vaughn. Talked about Gorman Thomas. Rob Deere. From the other side of the plate, Prince Fielder, of course. Cecil Cooper. How about George Scott? John Jaha. Richie Sexson had some big years in here.
Yeah, before going to Seattle.
46, 45, and 45. Ben Ogilvy had a 41 home run year. This is Aaron Hill. Hit hard and by Prado. It takes a strange bounce. Yelich played it perfectly. And that's going to keep the runner, Jonathan Lucroy, at third base.
Well, down 7-1. No reason to send Lucroy right here. Nice job of hitting. Then it ricochets right there. And Christian Yelich played that perfectly. Reason being, during batting practice, you start reading the balls off the bat and you notice down the line where that could happen. So he was waiting to see if it would hit off the corner, and it did. Keeping the runner now at third.
So Hill has doubled. There's 2 outs. Chen trying to get through this inning. He's got center fielder Ramon Flores. Craig Breslow is ready. And Don Mattingly on his way out. He's going to go to Breslow. So Wei-Yin Chen, 105 pitches in, is on his way out. But with a 7-1 lead, another terrific start for the Marlins. Wes Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. Willie Peralta. Kohler looking for win number 3. Peralta looking for his second win. And the Marlins hope that they have a chance to sweep tomorrow. They still have business to take care of here tonight. Kohler's win against the Dodgers was one of perseverance. He struggled in that first inning. He was up against Clayton Kershaw, fell behind, and then all of a sudden his ball club rose up and had a huge inning against Clayton Kershaw. Ramon Flores, a 24-year-old Venezuelan, swings and misses. Craig Breslow with 2 outs and 2 on. Flores just 6 for 44. He sends one into shallow left center, and it falls for a hit. It falls between Echeverria and Ozuna. And that's a 2-run single. And just like that, the Brewers are within 4.
Right here, no man's land, the Bermuda Triangle, just right between all 3. Adaney giving it all he had. Christian looking down and seeing where Adaney was. No reason to slide right there. One thing the Marlins do know, because of yesterday being up 6-0 in the last inning, they know this is far from over.
Hernan Perez.
This kid was putting on a show in batting practice. The sound of the bat, the sound of the ball coming off the bat, completely different than everyone else in his hitting group. Just a higher pitch. Very good hand strength that Perez has. Quick bat through the zone.
Brian Morris in Miami's pen. Well, the Brewers last year, 68-94. The odd part of that is you go back to 2014, and the Brewers were in first place in September, the start of September. They went 9-17 down the stretch, and they finished 2 over at 82-80. So they weren't that far away at the end of 14, faded. Really scuffled last year, and that's when they decided to pull the plug and rebuild.
Well, they're rebuilding completely. The analytics department, which was non-existent here, having to catch up now with other organizations. The minor league system, you want to build a winner, you do it through your farm system. Load up, do well internationally, also with the draft, get the players, then be able to develop them. And the ones that don't get up here, those are your trade baits to be able to bring in those pieces to create a winner.
Here's a 2-2. Center field, hit deep. Ozuna back at the wall, and it's gone.
That's what I was talking about Hernan Perez's strength. Very strong hands, and the show he put on today in batting practice was very similar to that blast he hit right there. All of a sudden, the Brewers have made this into a 2-run game with a 4th spot, in the bottom of the 7th. Watch where this pitch is, down in the zone. Hits it out front. And Osuna, trying to do his best, wasn't able to get there. This kid is strong.
And you could see it hit well above the yellow line, which is on top of the wall. Brian Morris comes in, and all of a sudden this game is completely changed here. A West Kendall Toyota call to the bullpen. The Brewers are within 2 and a lot of baseball left. Blast, and with both those swings, 4 runs have come across. Craig Breslow pacing in the dugout. He gave up the bloop to Ramon Flores. That knocked in 2, and then the blast to Hernan Perez, a 2-run homer. And the Brewers have made up a lot of distance in those 2 swings. 7-5 now, top of the order, still in the 7th. And this is Domingo Santana, who's doubled, lined out, and walked. And Brian Morris with a slider for a strike. Morris tied with 4 others for the most appearances in relief. And Breslow continues his pacing. I mean, it's a cruel game. He made a good pitch to Ramon Flores. The ball just landed behind the shortstop, Adeiny Echeverria. Not a great pitch to Perez. But if Flores' ball is hit in another spot, he's out of the inning and he never has to face Perez.
I have a friend named Randy Burdett that in college used to always tell me if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. And that was the big if. It wasn't hit there. And unfortunately for him, this game is a 2-run game right now. Santana really shows a lot of discipline at the plate. Tough pitch to lay off, and he was able to hold back on it. See right there, that's the same pitch that got Giancarlo Stanton out. Right where that 5 spot is. Difference was one was a fastball, this one was a breaking pitch. And a good one. Yes.
Yeah, he went. And the inning is over, but not before the Brewers come racing right back into the game. With 4 runs, it's 7-5 Miami. First pitch of the game, second deck, 1-0 Miami. Brewers would tie it, and Danny Echeverria with a solo homer to left. How about Giancarlo? Watch where this lands. Wow. Still no distance in yet, and Marcell Ozuna to right center field. And that's how Miami built a 7-1 lead. But the Brewers got 2, and then Hernan Perez gave them 2 more. And we arrive here in the 8th, 7-5, Marlins on top of Milwaukee. Alex Presley now in center. Carlos Torres on the mound. This is the 3rd reliever in support of what was a Chase Anderson start. He went 4 1/3. Michael Blazek pitched the last inning, the 7th. Chris Capuano bridged the gap between Anderson and Blazek.
Let's see right here, the Marlins, true to form, bounce right back and put at least 1 digit up on the board after the Brewers score. Something they've been able to do during this road trip consistently.
Torres misses on all 3 to Bohr. Torres pitched Thursday in Chicago. He was in spring training with the Braves. Signed as a free agent with the Brewers on the 2nd of April. He's pitched in the big leagues for the White Sox, the Rockies, and the Mets. 59 appearances for the Mets last year, and he walks Bohr. And the Marlins are going to run for Bohr with Rojas. So Miguel Rojas not only will pinch run, but he'll take over defensively. And the Marlins will try to go about scoring a run here with Rojas at first. Ozuna, Real Muto, and Echeverria. Combined, that group has 7 hits, 2 homers, and each has driven in a run. And a strike. And we can't go any further without introducing the pinch-a-penny pinch runner. He's always good when the pinch runner has a helmet caked with pine tar.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've seen a lot of ads behind home plate. I've never seen one for South Dakota. Ball in the dirt. And it's a ball and a strike.
That's for the presidents.
That's pretty cool. Mount Rushmore.
It is.
I thought maybe that was a movie until the catcher stepped out of the way, and I said, oh, that's for South Dakota. Pretty slick. 1-1.
That's what happens when you hang around these neck of the woods. I don't really see a lot of advertisement for South Dakota down in South Florida. South, the only common denominator there.
My father-in-law is probably watching, and he could tell you all about South Dakota, his native state.
Good trout fishing, right?
Good rabbit hunting. Here's the 1-2.
Is that what you could come up with? Good rabbit hunting? Is that because of the Bugs Bunny National Day? Is that it?
It is National Bugs Bunny Day. But if my father-in-law were here, he could spend 2 hours telling you about his rabbit hunting days as a lad in South Dakota.
Is there a season for it with all the information your father-in-law gave you? I mean, were you listening to all that information?
Well, that would be the discussion, whether it was duck season or rabbit season. That's a whole nother discussion. Here's a 1-2, and Ozuna takes outside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. A single, a homer, a walk, and a fly ball out for Marcell Ozuna. Rojas is not a base stealer. Well, the Brewers rally certainly pumped some life into this Saturday night crowd. Despite their struggles last year, the Brewers still drew over 2.5 million. And Ozuna sends one into the crowd. In fact, 9 consecutive years at more than 2.5 million. Two. He chased. And a strikeout for Torres.
Oh, he was showing patience all night long, Marcell Ozuna, and then this pitch started way out of the strike zone and ended up even farther. Disappointed in himself right there for going after that pitch.
Now Real Muto, RBI double, also an infield hit. JT has driven in a run, so he's 2 for 4. He has upped his average over 100 points in a very short time. That's over the last 6 games.
And it's that adjustment to that pitch right there. Pitch on the outer half that he's been able to stay through it earlier on, further from the batter's box. See that pitch down and away? He was really on top of it. Got closer. Things have changed. Frank Menechino looking on.
Real Muto shoots it right center, and over to get it is Santana. That ball was well hit. But it's the second out, and here comes Echeverria. Ichiro follows him out of the dugout, and Ichiro will be on deck as a possible pinch hitter.
Well, now with Dietrich playing most of the time, Ichiro will be that first choice left-handed hitter off the bench. The way he's been swinging the bat, it's an easy choice to make.
Echeverria has swung the bat well tonight, homered in the second, singles in the fifth and the sixth, and both singles were to right field. Rojas still at first. Now there's 2 outs. And Etch lines one into center field. That's a hit.
Oh boy, Etch, that's 4-game knock for him.
Yes.
Using all parts of the field, the home run to left, the 2 to right field, the 2 singles, and this one up the middle, bringing his hands in beautifully on that one.
And at this time of the year, at the end of April, a 4-for-4 game. When you start the game hitting 179, will bring your average to 222. It's a healthy jump.
Well, at the beginning of the road trip, we had a few, especially the right-handed hitters, from Osuna to Stanton to Real Muto and Etchy, which have been struggling down in the low 200s to the high 190s. That just tells you right there, now going back home in a couple days, starting to even out.
Ichiro had a couple hits yesterday. Moved past Frank Robinson. He's at 2,945. And he faces Torres, who flips in a strike. Kyle Barraclough in Miami's bullpen. Ichiro, a liner, and just foul, disappearing into the corner.
That's one thing you can't do with Ichiro. You can't try to throw the same pitch twice. Really get me over the first time. You're going to try to fool him again, pitch up in the zone. He stays true, standing up straight, as you see how many hits he has in his career. The hit king at the top. And Ichiro with number 33rd on the list with 29.45.
Oh, 2. Swing and a miss, ball in the dirt, and Ichiro strikes out. The Marlins have left 14 runners tonight, but lead it still 7-5. Wonder Women. 7-5, Marlins on top. Fish Family, the exclusive loyalty program of Marlin fans. To learn more or log in, go to marlins.com/fishfamily. The bonus code today is Gary Sheffield. Miguel Rojas is at first base. And Kyle Bearclaw is out of the bullpen, and Bearclaw takes over for Craig Breslow. Breslow gave up the 2-run single to Ramon Flores and the 2-run homer to Hernan Perez on back-to-back hitters. And it drew the Brewers within 2. If you were not with us earlier, we talked about A.J. Ramos and the fact that he's not available tonight. So David Phelps would be the guy. And as it looks now, it's Bearclaw here in the 8th, and if he gets through the 8th. Rojas steps on the bag. And that was a nice out to get. VR, Braun, and Lucroy now follow. Brian Braun tonight, 1 for 3 with an RBI. And the Marlins have won 6 in a row. A.J. Ramos has saved 5 of those 6 games.
He has, and been very consistent for the Marlins, going in and being able to shut down the door, especially in LA, where he's from. That, without a doubt, very emotional for him.
I mean, most managers, and especially early in the season, there's the workload. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, when a closer goes 3 days in a row and gets the save, in most cases, he's going to get the next day off, which he did. It's a good problem to have that the next 2 nights, they needed Ramos to close the games again. And so he went from working 3 nights in a row, having an off day, to working 5 out of 6 nights.
How about that? Wondering if he had tennis shoes or cleats on. That'll answer the question for you.
I told you what he told me. Breaking ball misses in. Don Mattingly told us there's no way that he would use Ramos. He has the night off.
Then why would he have cleats on?
Because when I asked AJ said, oh no. You never know. He said, you never know about baseball. You never know what could happen. There may be an emergency, and I may need to pitch. He's got spikes on.
Good for him.
Breaking ball, bouncer, and it's foul.
But Don Mattingly, he is the last resort.
Yes.
That means you at home, it would be like 1 o'clock in the morning. It would be 12 here. So technically, he would be pitching on the next day with a complete day off. Because there's no way those 2 guys should and would go to him.
Bearclaw, another good slider. Rojas finds the rail. And it's into the superheroes. What's the best superhero you've seen tonight?
Oh, there are here? I've seen people dressed as superheroes. I've seen some Wonder Woman. I like the Wonder Woman, the ones that are in that row, because they worked hard. Look at that. I mean, those aren't little girls now. It's girls' night out right there.
I like that Wonder Woman hat on top of the Brewers cap. Fastball misses out. Braun has fought off a lot of pitches in this at-bat. Jonathan Lucroy is on deck. Ground ball. Dietrich gets the out. And so Bearclaw has the first 2 outs of the 8th. And here is Lucroy.
I'll tell you right now, the Phillies have been playing really good baseball also. And A lot of people had them as probably a 100-game losing team, and so far they've represented well. They're winning right now against the Indians 4-3 in the top of the ninth.
Well, the Marlins and the Phillies will see each other soon.
That'll be next weekend.
And the Marlins will get a chance to see first person what the Phillies are about, and the Phillies will get a chance to see the Marlins. Fly ball right field. Stanton back on the track. Can't get it. It's a fair ball in the corner. Lucroy's thinking 3 on his way to third. Stanton's throw all the way from the corner. And Lucroy is in there with a triple.
Well, Jonathan Lucroy right here gets a pitch up in the zone and allows Barraclough's power to generate off the bat. Giancarlo trips right there, and that right there was why the play was not that close to third. See, he's looking at it all the way, and right from there, he knows this is 3. Puts his head down, runs, and gets there.
The Marlins are actually reviewing something. It may be whether he touched second base or not.
I think they're looking at that. This is, right now you have Chris Carter at the plate. A lot of power.
Barraclough with a slider that apparently was low. And it's 1-0. Lucroy 90 feet away. That slider caught the strike zone.
Well, Chris Carter, you see how big of a man he is. A lot of people like pitching big guys like that inside. Not him. He has a very short stroke. But that's been his big problem, a short stroke, but his bat head stays in and out of the zone quick. Does not stay in there that long.
So where do you pitch him?
Try to get ahead of him with a fastball away, and then you try to get him to chase down and away.
Two and 2. Two down, runner at third in the 8th. Look out. That one off the screen in front of the Brewers dugout. Carter 0 for 6 in the series. He has 5 home runs and he has 9 doubles.
Outfield for the Marlins playing very deep, no doubles.
Oh, gorgeous pitch. Barraclough strikes him out. Carter was frozen, and Lucroy is left at third. Right down the heart of the plate. To the 9th, Miami up a couple, 7-5 in Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Be sure to keep it right here for our Marlins Live postgame show presented by Checkers. I will be hosting live from the field. We will take a look at tonight's game, including all of the home runs that we have seen tonight. Also, seventh heaven. Can the Marlins close it out and get their 7th straight win? We will take a look at all of that on our Marlins Live postgame show presented by Checkers.
Thank you, Jessica. Last time that happened, a 7-game win streak for Miami, May of 2012. Tyler Thornburg becomes the 4th reliever for Craig Counsell's Brewers. Miami holding a 2-run lead. At the top of the order, Derek Dietrich. Dietrich's first assignment in the leadoff spot. He is homered. He drove in a run on a ground ball out. So he's knocked in 2. He's also walked. So he's been on base twice. He goes after a high fastball and fouls it back to the screen. Dietrich appears to be the type of leadoff hitter where you just can't throw a first pitch fastball right down the middle and think, I'm going to get ahead.
Well, he's not trying to be anyone but himself. Fastball that he loves to see, he'll take it without a problem, and he'll hit it as hard as he can. Get the bat head out. Do not get cheated.
Thornburg coming in with his fastball. And it's 1-2. Prado and Yelich, and if anybody reaches, Giancarlo Stanton. Marlins have 13 hits, a 7-5 lead. And the Brewers have 7 hits with their 5 runs. Miami has left 14 on base. You know, we're used to seeing Dietrich get clipped in the elbow, but he's quite good at breaking balls around his feet, of not moving his feet.
Staying right there, that's an art form. You look at, for example, an Adrian Beltre from Texas, he'd be jumping on that one.
2-2. David Phelps in Miami's bullpen. So Phelps is getting ready for the 9th. Ramos not available tonight. Dietrich, the 2-2 coming. And he chased a high fastball. It stays 2-2. Count full. And Dietrich strikes out.
They went right back to the pitch that they started the game off with him after the home run, the changeup. 3-2, hadn't seen it, wham. Table fell out of that one.
Here's Martin Prado. One for 4 night for Prado. Singled in the 2nd. As Thornburg delivers the 0-1. That pitch misses down low. Thornburg out of Riverwood, Georgia. Charleston Southern University. He pitched and was an outfielder. And it's 1-2. Thornburg has been in and out of Milwaukee's bullpen over the last 4 years. 1-2. Slow tapper, and it's kicked. Perez cut in front. That might be a base hit.
That should be a base hit. They should not chen him on this one. Meaning they won't give him a hit, then take it away. You see this right here. Tough. Have to go in front of the shortstop. Perez trying to get it right off the tip. Look at Martin. He's smelling that base hit. As soon as he sees, he drops it. Hey, when you're hot, you're hot. You're going to get those hits.
It is a base hit. So Prado's got 2 hits. And here's Yelich, and that increases the likelihood of a Stanton at bat here in the 9th. Yelich banged a double to right field. He's walked twice, including once with the bags loaded. So a nice night for Yelich. On base 3 times. Leads Miami now with 8 doubles on the season. Nice lead by Prado. And a fastball strike. Remember, it's Saturday, so we tried to do pick to click. Derek Dietrich has produced 7 points. Stanton 6. Yelich now 3. Eduardo, who won the great sausage race, and Justin Bour, the crack staff, have been eliminated because Bour's been removed from the game.
I'm highly critical of this because Yelich has 2 walks and he does not get any points for walks.
He should, though, right?
He should.
He should get a base.
Right. He should get it, so it should be 5 points instead of 3. And my Twitter followers are all over that. And they should be.
I agree. Yelich fights off a fastball. Well, Dietrich homered, drove in a run. If that's the case, add 1 to Dietrich because he walked in the 2nd inning.
And that's why you agree. Huh? I see what's happening here.
You think I'm going to let you, after you walked off with my money from the racing sausage fiasco?
You have to scout him, man. You have to scout him.
Can we add a point then to Giancarlo Stanton as well? He had a walk in the top of the 1st.
Oh.
I want to make sure that I don't get counted out in this one.
There we go. I like it. I say add points throughout.
I'm right on the heels of you, Rich Waltz.
Total bases, RBI, and runs. We'll do walks next Saturday.
Oh.
2-2 coming to Yelich. Prado at first. And a swing and a miss. And so here comes Stanton now. As well, the pitching coach of the Brewers, Derek Johnson's on his way out. Stanton in the ball game has walked, struck out twice, and hit a mammoth home run to left center field.
Interesting conversation they're having on the mound here. They're looking at the lineup right now. And now that Justin Bour is not hitting behind Giancarlo Stanton and you have Miguel Rojas, that conversation is a simple one. Be careful with Giancarlo. Make him chase out of the zone. If he hits a pitch, it's going to be your pitch. Most likely they'll stay down and away. If you walk them, so what? Let Rojas beat you. They are 2 runs away. They have to give their offense a chance to come back in the bottom of the 9th.
So here's Stanton. Let's see where they pitch him. Breaking ball out.
This, to me, is an intentional, unintentional walk.
Well, it might become intentional if he goes 2-0 to him. And if he doesn't chase.
There's no reason to throw him a strike.
And he went after. He did chase.
That's one thing Giancarlo, with time, will, more experience, will learn. Why do they go up in a situation like this to talk to the pitcher? Now he just put the pitcher back in a situation to go and be aggressive with him.
Fastball in. 2-1 now. 2 outs, 9th inning. Miami up 2. Martin Prado's at first.
See, there's no reason right now to throw him a strike. 3-1, same thing. Most likely something way out of the zone. Most likely the competitiveness of Thornburg. He wants to be aggressive with him, but smart baseball says don't. So he put down a slider.
Oh, he threw a strike.
Threw a strike with a breaking pitch. That would have been the mistake right there. That's the mistake in the at-bat that he took, that he threw out over the plate. I still don't throw him a strike 3-2. I make him chase.
Prado will run. Fastball up, and Stanton walks.
And that's smart baseball on the Brewers' part. Now you let Miguel Rojas beat you. Nothing against Miguel, but not having that lefty behind Giancarlo for reason of defense, is why that happened.
This will be Rojas's first at bat. He got a start last night and had a couple of hits, including a double. Prado and Stanton out on base. And Thornburg with that big overhand breaking ball gets strike 1. Well, the Marlins have hit a lot of home runs, 4 solo homers. They've had a bases loaded walk, a ground ball that's produced a run, and a double by Real Muto that knocked in another.
I'll take that every night. 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position, but still 7 runs. Take my chances. You don't see that often, though.
No, you don't.
What pitch did he throw him? Oh, he threw him a breaking ball for a strike, right?
First pitch breaking ball.
2-1. Should probably get the same thing. As a hitter, runner in scoring position, the pitcher doesn't have to give in. You still have third base open. Might as well go breaking pitch right here.
Fastball missed. And in the spirit of your looking to see who's on deck, if you're Thornburg, you've got Ozuna on deck.
No, you go after Miguel Rojas right here.
In. He walked him. Bags loaded for Ozuna. There's a right-hander throwing in Milwaukee's pen. I don't know that he's ready. Lucroy may be out there to buy a little more time.
No, he's not even close to being ready.
That's David Goforth.
We saw him last night. It's going to take him a good 10 more pitches to get loose in the pen.
Well, Thornburg has a couple of strikeouts, but that came earlier in the inning. He's walked the last 2 he's faced. Ozuna has homered, singled, walked on a 2 for 4 night. Bags loaded again. And on a night where the Marlins have a 7-5 lead, they've left 14 on base. Here's another opportunity. Ozuna in this ballpark. Those 6 home runs have come in his last 9 games here. And he had a pitch. 1-1.
It's a good fastball right there. 94. Sneaky right by him. Watch this. Marcel better get it started a little bit earlier.
One and two.
Really surprised right now the fans are not getting involved in this. Bases loaded, 2 outs, 2 strikes. He's trying to get riled up right now.
Thornburg, the 1-2. Outside corner, he strikes him out. And Ozuna caught looking. Miami leaves the bases loaded again. They strand 17 through 9 innings, but they lead at 7-5, and here comes David Phelps. Miami Marlins baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. In Milwaukee, we have arrived in the bottom of the 9th, the Marlins and the Brewers. And it's David Phelps who is looking for the save.
Number 15,
Alex Presley will lead it off for Milwaukee. For Phelps, he has 1 career save. A starter and a middle reliever by trade. This year, coming off of the arm injury last year, Phelps started in the bullpen, but pitched so well in spring and early this month that he's moved back into the 8th inning role, and with no A.J. Ramos available tonight, it's Phelps who works the bottom of the 9th in Milwaukee. Aaron Hill, and then the pitcher spot coming up for the Brewers.
Will most likely be Neuenhuis. Presley already hit. And he's at the plate right now.
Chris Johnson now at first base. Miguel Rojas is at second, and Derek Dietrich out of the ballgame. Presley center field. Ozuna back and has it on the track. A long out to start the 9th for Milwaukee.
Watch Ozuna getting a nice jump. Breaks towards his right. Makes a nice play. Step into the warning track. Never taking his eye off the ball.
2014 against Boston as a Yankee. A 7-out save for Phelps. That one lined foul. So this is all new to him. This come in with a 2-run lead in the 9th is all new.
He's been coming in a lot of pressure situations for the Marlins. That right there has gotten them ready to throw strikes in the bottom of the 9th. That's a lot of the problems that a lot of pitchers face when they're not in a safe situation, trying to find the strike zone. Don Mattingly trusting that Phelps is ready for this opportunity.
David Phelps does not have a minor league save. So just that 7-out save as a Yankee. But he looks comfortable. And as you pointed out, in the 8th inning role, which can be filled with pressure and big hitters to face, he has been very, very good. A.J. Ramos with the hood on, his spikes on just in case.
That's so he won't slip on the way back from the bullpen.
Ooh, just missed. Aaron Hill, RBI double in the 7th, and it was out. And of course, on this road trip in Los Angeles, in a pitch almost in the same spot on Fox Tracks, Phelps was ejected for asking where it missed. That one in the air. Rojas, 2 down. It's not often when you leave 17 men on base and go 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position that you are in a spot to win a game 7-5 in the bottom of the 9th inning.
A lot of solo shots and a lot of executing, moving the runners over, getting them in, and sacrificing yourself. Don Mattingly said this is going to have to be a team effort in order for the Marlins to succeed on a daily basis.
Off-speed pitch and a little dribbler up the line. Kirk Neuenhuis gets the at-bat here. The former Met. Marlins saw him last night as a pinch hitter late. And he walked. In the air, Marcell Ozuna. Ball game, and Miami wins it. The Marlins have won 7 straight. They are over 500 for the first time since August of 2014. And they do it without a hit with runners in scoring position. Second major league save for David Phelps. Another win for Wei-Yin Chen. 4 solo homers for the Fish, and they've taken the first 2 here in Milwaukee. What a road trip this has been. 7 straight for the Marlins. Marlins Live is coming up.